All right, guys. So, welcome to the Mad Maker Show. My name is Eloy. I'm your host, and we have a special guest tonight. And that's Julian Martinez the second, and that's 5x30 Woodworking. We're going to get to him in a second. I do want to mention a couple of things for you folks that are visiting for the first time, and we kind of always mention this at the beginning because, well, who knows? Maybe you're traveling, passing through the interwebs, and you come across this live show, and you're thinking, "What the heck is this?" And well, it's called the Mad Maker Show, and what we do is we interview people from really all across the world, people that have talents and creativity and work with their hands, ideas, woodworking, electronics, painting, art, just in general, right? It could be anything, music, whatever. We want to get into their minds and sort of see what inspires them, and if we can gather some points of inspiration for ourselves, because it's always good, to pick up little bits from people that we can associate with and maybe incorporate into our own thing. So that's what we do. And by the way, it's called the Mad Maker Show because these people are often found to be a little bit loony, right? They're missing a couple of screws. I don't know why it is. I mean, you hear Mad Maker, and you sometimes you think of somebody that it could be a person that freaking chops off people's limbs. I don't know. No, I shouldn't say that, but yeah, it happens. But not in this case. I don't think that's the case with Julian. No,
not really. Not that I know of.
So we interview people every Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern, right? And next week we're going to have King's Fine Woodworking here on the show. So, come back and see us. Jamie Page.
Hello, everybody. I am Jamie Page, or JP, whichever you prefer. I am 1/5 of the Magazine International podcast. The website for that is magazineinternationalpodcast.com. My YouTube channel is JP Woodwork. My Twitter and Instagram is JP_Woodwork. My website is jp-woodwork.com. Both websites are provided by Steve Nealon over at Harnealmedia. The website for that is harnealmedia.com. I don't have any news for you at the moment, so Eloy, back to you.
Thank you very much, JP. Appreciate that. All right, so let's welcome Julian, 5x30 Woodworking. What's going on, dude?
Not much, man. First of all, really appreciate you guys having me on. It's kind of cool being on something this big. I mean, I know you guys might not think it's big, but it is. I mean, you guys have some big names on here. I remember, about a year or so ago, you were thinking about doing it, Eloy, and you were like, who would watch this? And I was like, I would. I was like, I think it would be pretty cool to find out, because you talk to makers on a day-to-day, and you get to know them, but you don't sometimes it doesn't come up with little things like going back in the history or knowing them, but it's nice to go back and actually understand, okay, now I know why he does the things he does, or like you said, why we have screws loose.
Yeah, that's totally it, dude. That's the thing that we see what they make, and the things that they do put out, but not everybody opens up like life history or life lessons or tips and tricks that one might, and this is a good setting, and it's actually a relaxed setting to we go a little crazy every now and then, right, back and forth, but in general we're relaxed, and we want to sort of glean that from people. But yeah, last year, I don't know if it was September or not, I put a post out on the I Like to Make Stuff group, saying, well, would you guys, who here would like to, participate? I'm thinking of starting a show, and you were the first one that said, yeah, dude, count me in to do it, and a lot of people started saying, yeah, I'm down with it, and this and that, and so, we find you were the first one, incidentally.
I'm number one.
Well, we started the show with Adam McMillan. I don't know. Have you seen Adam McMillan in the group?
Yes, I have. Yeah.
I wanted to start with him, and by the way, it snowballed in all sorts of different directions. Bobby Duke came in, and we had Dan the Maker Man. I mean, just Ryan Bitters, Matt Haas.
Which, by the way, Bobby Duke was a no one until he was on this show.
Well, is Bobby out there?
Fact.
Well, you know, it's funny because Bobby Duke did let us into a lot of his background, his concepts and ideas. His, like, you know, we got a lot of cool stuff out of him. And in fact, you know, I get on my, it's funny, dude. Last thing I'll say about this, it's fine. My website, right? I add free music for download. I've got Mad Maker Show bits in there as well, articles, just a whole host of different things and stuff. The biggest hits onto my website at this moment for like 5 weeks straight, right? Like I've got all this, I've got free music you can buy, woodworking stuff, connections here and there, articles. I sit at night, late at night. Bobby Duke is the biggest hit on my, I should just say it's head of woodworking, Rockin' Woodworks, Bobby
Duke.
Yeah. So yeah, we've had a lot of cool cats and learned a lot from them. So anyway, so to start off, Julian, give us a little bit about your channel, and your brand is 5x30 Woodworking.
Yeah.
Can we start, as opposed to, I was going to ask you a little bit about your history to place you and stuff. And by the way, for the folks out there, Julian's more active, at least this is what I've seen on Instagram, but like massively, right?
Yeah, I try to be.
So give us a little bit about why that name, 5x30 Woodworking.
All right, so 5x30 goes back to a couple years ago when my wife and I were living back home in Texas. It's actually when I first started getting back into woodworking. I've always done a little bit of woodworking here and there with my dad growing up. You know, we had a small little shop, always doing, if we need something built or something fixed, you know, we did it, you know. It was never anything fine about it or anything like that. Well, over the years, got away from it. And then whenever we moved to Dallas, we moved to a condo in uptown Dallas. And I can't even remember where it started. I think we originally needed a shot glass holder because my wife at the time was an international flight attendant. So she flew all over the world. So we've got liquor from all over the world. We've got shot glasses from all over the world. Like I think well over 100 shot glasses. And we wanted to display them. I'm like, you know, that's cool. It's something that not everybody does. So I was like, you know what? Let me go to Home Depot, get a couple things, put it together, and let me see what I could do. So I went to run with the shot glass holder. Well, from there, I built, we needed a little spice rack holder. So I built a little spice rack. Then I started going into that, and I started doing more woodworking. Well, there's like a balcony outside because we were on the front side of the condo. We were on the second floor. On the back side, it dropped down, and we were on the third floor. So there's a balcony there that went the whole stretch of the condo. It went from the living room all the way into the master bedroom. So it's literally 5 feet out. You could walk 5 feet out onto the balcony, and it was about 30 feet long. So I was like, you know what? Why not that be it? I mean, who else would have something called 5x30? And it's kind of like one of those name grabs. Like, well, how did you come up with that? And I'm like, well, I literally worked on a balcony. It was 5 feet by 30 feet.
That's freaking awesome, dude.
Yeah, and it was funny because I wish I would have brought it back here with me, but my workbench was like an old nightstand. Like it sat lower than a bed. I literally built so much stuff off of that. You know, I started with a handsaw. Granted, because of work, I had drills already. I had one of those little plastic miter boxes and a miter saw that was junk. So like my miters were horrible at that time. I'm not gonna lie, they're still pretty bad nowadays, even with a miter saw and everything. So yeah, I decided I wanted to go ahead and stay with that name, you know, and that's why it says 5x30. I designed a logo for it that, you know, make it look like, you know, it's kind of dimensional. And then I threw the Texas later on. I put the Texas state of Texas on it because just to pay homage to where it started. So
yeah,
I mean, it's and then if you usually look at most of my stuff, it says 5x30 and it says small shop, big results. And I kind of came up with that idea because, you know, you don't. I've always been a firm believer is you don't need that massive, 2,000 square foot shop to build all this amazing stuff. I mean, if there's a will, there's a way. You could build it in a small little room, small area. You just got to find ways of doing it. So from there, I built a liquor cabinet to hold 80 plus bottles of alcohol on that deck or on that balcony. So I was like, you know what, small shop, big results. Why not?
I like
So
that, dude.
yeah, and it kind of comes up with that. I mean, that's kind of where it starts, and that's why I always try to pay homage to that. So
Well, yeah, you've done so. You've got an eclectic amount of different direct. I mean, you've had competitions with the scroll saw scribbler.
yes,
I mean, you've done and strange things like well, it's not strange, but like you take what's that?
kind of like odd, not necessarily 100% good or not good, but
No, everything good. Like the idea of that's just me being free with my choice of words. But so you'll go in every direction, right? But I don't want to. I'm kind of that way too. Like I enjoy traveling in different paths and stuff, and it's hard for me to just stay on one. Like I see something that, oh dang, that's cool. I'm gonna go in this direction. You have this. I guess it's like a pallet wood removal, like acting as leverage and stuff, and it's pretty like it's been a while, but that's like one of your first things, right? I think there's a video for it too.
yeah, that was my very first video, and oh my god, I've gotten so much negative comments on it, but it's not like one of those like somebody's trolling you. It's I literally sit there, I'm like, yeah, no, I know, dude, I know, trust me, it's bad. Like I want to remake that. I really want to remake it.
I like it. I don't see this is the thing, good. I dig it like that, barbaric, savage.
Well, I'm gonna remake that thing because I have somebody in particular I want to give it to, another person in our group, but I'm not gonna name any names. He's a pallet guy, but no, just my main thing was when I did that video, I started off going in kind of two different directions. I really wanted to show that you didn't need all these expensive tools and whatnot. I wanted to show, like in the very beginning of it, you'll see I actually cut a curve with a handsaw. And I was like, if you don't,
it was a coping saw.
Well,
no?
I had a Well, I did it two different ways. I had a coping saw and I had a regular handsaw. The coping saw is one of the tools I mean, see, you've seen some of my scroll saw work. I can do stuff on scroll saw. Coping saw, you might as well just throw it away because I can't use a coping saw. But no, I did use a coping saw to do one. And if you go back through, I show you quickly how you can actually do a curve with a regular handsaw. Basically, you cut basically like a bandsaw whenever you need to do what you would do with a bandsaw where you'd cut lines, recess lines. I did that, but my main thing was I wanted to show you that you can, one, build a pallet breaker without having to be able to weld or without any special equipment. And two, I used literally pallet wood to do it, and should I use basic hand tools? Like,
well, yeah, you see, but that's the part that I dug because you took. See, here's the thing. I love the thinking outside of the box and stuff, and just grabbing stuff and putting it together and saying, here, right? Look, and you took two pry bars
from Harbor Freight.
And from Harvard, and then you created that leverage, that long leverage, and it's such a cool thing. You took two to make that, and it works, dude. You could tear up pallets left and right all day, right?
Yeah, that the pallet that I had in that video at the end, it was a really chunky pallet. Like it was rotted away. Like it was light wood. I could take it and I could just break it like that. So it broke very easily. But I don't know if you remember seeing. Do you remember me showing you that? I posted a picture of literally a 10-foot a 12-foot by 5-foot pallet that I saw on a job site at Sangamore Liquor Distillery. I think it was last summer. I was looking at it and I saw it behind a dumpster. And of course, I'm not one of those that goes up and just takes it. Went ahead, asked somebody, because anything I get off a job site, I always ask just to make sure. But I asked the guys, like, what are y'all doing with that pallet? Is it going to get thrown away? Because from where I was at, it looked like it was a solid oak pallet. And I'm like, solid oak? I don't use oak, but it's great wood. I'm not going to get rid of it. So I literally, me and two of my other coworkers got it out of the dumpster. I noticed it wasn't oak, it was maple. I thought the slats were all maple. I thought the runners were maple too. It turns out the runners were actually ash, which is awesome. So anyways, long story short, we grabbed the sawzall from one of the electricians, cut it in half. It took three of us to get it up on the back end of my truck on the tailgate, or not tailgate, on the bed. It literally sat and it covered the whole thing, and it dropped down my suspension so low, and I was able to get it home. And when I got it home, I got it off myself. I call it Bane, which is the pallet breaker. It's called Bane because Bane's the only one that's ever broken Batman's back. So I was like, why not? I was like, it's a great name for it. So I took it and just boom, just went right through it quicker. Honestly, I took it apart quicker than you probably could use a sawzall to take it apart. And then after that, what I did is, well, obviously I had to go and denail everything. But the good thing about it is that none of the runners had any of those cut nails in it. They were all clean. There were a couple nails that were kind of broken, so I had to go through and wiggle them out. But I took all the slats, turned them around, started hammering them out, and I've got a clean pallet broken apart, 100% full to the size it was, and I've still got some of it back there. It's that pallet breaker. I love that pallet breaker, man.
So what's cool is that from that point, from that extreme, then you go to the other extreme where you basically got into a challenge. And by the way, you also have a lathe, and you do lathe work. You do goblets. Jamie Page also does that. There's a few turners out there, probably in the chat. And you go and you build furniture as well, tables. I mean, just all sorts of stuff. But you're willing, it seems, to go. You'll go, hey, this is the basic need for the thing, and doom, 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 bing, boom, bam. Or you're willing to go, hey, let's build this neat thing, be it a scroll saw portrait or whatnot.
Yeah, I don't like you. I don't like sitting there and just being known for one thing. I mean, it would be awesome to be great at one thing, but again, growing up, we were kind of a jack of all trades. If something needed to be fixed, something needed to be built, we did it. Granted, it wasn't professional. I couldn't go in and replumb a house, or I couldn't go in and do the electrical in the house, but I can go in and change out an outlet. Go fix a leaking faucet. But it's one of those where I keep pushing myself to do more. Like I already kind of want to do a segmented bowl. Well, I got to do my first bowl first, which I still have the blank cut up in the back.
Well, when did you get have you had the lathe for a while, or is it a new?
Technically, I've had it for over a year, I believe, but physically set up and used, just literally the last couple months. Like when I got it from my dad, because it was he got it from a friend of my older brother, whose dad was selling all his tools away, and he got that. He got the lathe. He got a little scroll saw, which I had never used, and I was thinking about it today. I was like, man, I really wish I would have started working on that scroll saw back in the day. I think I could have done a lot of awesome stuff. But
hell yeah, Team Scroll Saw.
Yes, Team Scroll Saw. But he also had, what's it called? It's the saw where it stands up and you pull it. It's not a miter saw. It's the whatever. He had that. But anyways, I went to my dad and I was like, yeah, he's like, I got this lathe. See, now Jamie's trying to think of what it is.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Is it? Yeah, Frank Howell's got one.
The radial arm saw?
Radial arm
saw. That's it. So he had that, so I didn't grow up with the table saw or a miter saw. I grew up with that. Learned how to use that. But anyways, I was telling him, I kind of want to learn the lathe. And he was like, well, I have that lathe downstairs. I've only used it a couple times. And I was like, yeah, that's cool. He goes, do you want it? I was like, sure. So I got all the information about it. I was like, that's an old ass lathe. I was like, I wonder if I can find anything for it. It's like, does it work? He goes, yeah. I was like, you know what? It's free. I'm not going to say no to it. And then I get to the house. It's literally bolted on and built into a cabinet, like a whole cabinet that's underneath of it. I'm like, well, I can't fit all that in my truck. Can't take it all there. So him and I were sitting there looking. I was like, Dad, you got I was like, it was glued, screwed, nailed, anything you could to hold it. Like it wasn't coming off. I was like, you got a Sawzall around here? He goes, yeah. I was like, all right, we're gonna do this the old way. I just took a Sawzall and just cut the whole top off, and we transferred that top, put it up in the truck, and then it's been sitting in the shed that's behind my shop for most of that time until I found space and finally got it cleaned up, and then I finally put it in there. So I've only been turning for a couple months, and now I see why it's called the rabbit hole.
Oh, so you're totally taken by it?
No, not completely taken by it. I do like it. I do love it. I like the fact that I can do multiple things with it, and it challenges me to do like a scroll saw. You're really just going to use a scroll saw to do awesome portraits and whatnot. Well, granted, you could also do more than that. So if scroll saw scribblers watching, don't yell at me. Don't yell at me.
Well, what he does, I hate to bring in, but that you did. I hate to bring in on that, but just so I don't forget, that portrait of that clown,
Pennywise.
So was the challenge that both of you would do the same one and see which one was better?
The challenge was, all right, so go a little bit further back in the backstory.
See, I totally messed up the thing because people are vibing off the other story, and now I inject this, and it's like a train wreck. But just give us a little bit about it and continue with the other thing.
So I've known Scroll Saw Scribbler for several years. Actually, before I had my 5x30 woodworking account, I knew him from my personal account. Just talking about woodworking, the Scroll Saw, I love this stuff, and so we've become friends over the years. And so I was like, dude, I'm finally getting comfortable with it. Here are my next two projects I want to do. And I told him I wanted to do a Star Wars one, and I wanted to do a Pennywise one. And he was like, challenge me. I was like, huh? He's like, challenge me to do Pennywise. I'm like, dude, my confidence just went from here to here now. Thanks. He was like, no, come on, let's do that. And so we basically, the challenge was that we had to both do a Pennywise the Clown. We got to choose whichever one we wanted to. Granted, him and I were talking about it. He knew which one I was going to do. I knew which he was going to do. But we had to take a picture that we found and then just recreate it. So
his technique, I keep taking you away from the original lathe thing. His technique, and you, I mean, he does it different than what we see typically. Yes. And I really enjoy what he does, and you recreated it perfectly. I mean, the technique, the style, and you were working in that style. But can you give us a few tips? Actually, it's selfishly for myself. What's the process? Like, it's like I really like that sort of style.
No, that's fine. Well, like I said, I've known him for a while, so him and I have talked. He's shared a couple of his secrets, not very many, so I won't give all those away.
Oh, dude, listen, dude, dude. Look, there's a lot of people out there. I mean,
by the way, where's this chat? I don't see the chat. Where's this chat at?
No, don't do it because you're working on Wi-Fi. If you go to investigate that, you might
slow it down.
Don't worry, I'm keeping it on the chat.
Yeah, he's keeping it. But look, there's all these people. We're here. You're gonna hold back on us, dude?
No, I won't. All right, so I'm trying to kind of
I hate to put you on the spot, but give us a few. I mean, I'm sure that folks know.
First of all, he uses a scroll saw.
Yes.
See, you can see that's a good start.
And by the way, here we go.
Scroll saw.
Yes, and he uses scroll saw blades. I can tell you the blades he uses. He uses Olsen blades, which I also use Olsen blades. No, but basically, I loved his approach to it. How he uses natural wood. What I don't think a lot of people, or maybe people do see it but don't realize, he actually spends a lot of time looking at the grain, and it's just like physically drawing. Like you see the shades, you see how textures go in. He does that, but he does that with grain. And if you actually go back and look at the close-up of my Pennywise, some of the people are like, yeah, you didn't do your grain. I'm like, well, if you look at it, you actually see I was very particular about how I did my grain, just like he did. And again, he was there. He has been a mentor to me. one thing that I'm trying to get him to unlock to me, which he hasn't, is how to do a template, how he does his templates. Me, I do it like pretty much like everybody else. Basically, you print out what you want. I use painter's tape, put it over the piece of wood, spray the back of the template or, the picture, lay it on there, and then go from there. The Pennywise, I think I went through 5 or 6 different, like I printed that same picture.
Yeah.
I think I've printed the picture about 10 times, but I think I went through like 5 or 6 of the actual prints, cutting out things. So
Right.
I knew where they go and I can cut them out. He yells at me. He says, you need to get away from doing that. You got to make your own template. I'm like, well, teach me. It's like, but the way he does it is just amazing. And I've always been enthralled by how he does it. And I've literally I've always been able to be real good at like seeing something and being able to recreate it or try to get close to it.
Yeah.
So that's what I've done with him. I've learned, he's given me tips about, like I know there's sandpaper basically for the scroll saw that you can hook up and then you put it in there and you can sand it. He doesn't use that. I don't use that. He showed me how you can, or he told me about how you can actually do it with the scroll saw blade, where you just trim it up. I can't hear you, Jamie. You're still
you glue a bit of sandpaper either side of like a dull blade or something like that.
I've seen that trick too, but it's not even that. Literally, I take the blade.
Let me just thank OJ. OJ, thank you so much, dude. Appreciate it. Thank you for the love. Jimmy,
awesome.
hit them with the I think everybody knows OJ, but hit them with the link if you could, please.
Yeah, I will do. Yeah.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, dude.
No, you're good. But no, I actually physically use the blade to actually sand, like to cut it. It's just you got to lightly touch it, and you can actually do it to where basically you cut almost to the line, just like you would on a bandsaw or anything else, and then you would go in and sand to the line. You do the same thing with the scroll saw.
Mm-hmm.
He gets on me because I use spiral blades all the time. He's like, you need to use straight blades. I'm like, yeah.
Whoa! Hold the presses. Ding, ding, ding. Wait, that's a train. Hold the presses.
What's up?
So you're saying straight blades is the scroll saw scribbler's preferred method?
Yes. He does not like
the spiral. That's interesting.
He does not like the spiral.
That is an interesting. Wow, because what I hear from all the cats, the scroll saw folks that I talk to on a daily basis just about is, I guess they say that different blades for different uses, but they're totally into the spiral blade, including Jamie Page.
Yeah.
No, not for everything.
Okay.
If you're doing a straight line,
I much prefer straight blades. Truth be told, I do spirals for certain projects.
See, if I have to do a lot of straight lines, yeah, I will go straight blades because it's easier to get a straight line with it. The thing that sucks with a spiral blade is if your hands are off, and if you're doing this, your line's going to physically do this. Whereas with a straight blade, it's going to be it's not going to be as noticeable. But with a spiral blade, you're going to go anywhere. But I mean, I personally like spiral blades, and I am going to try to transfer over into the straight blades more. And I
find you get a cleaner cut as well.
Yeah, he said that too. He uses skip tooth blades. He doesn't really like the reverse skip tooth. So, and I do have straight blades in my shop. I just need to get more of a variety of them for obviously different thicknesses. Which I don't know. Did you ever see my Frankenstein blade?
No, dude.
I know I showed it to Dan. Dan the maker.
Oh, by the way, that's another thing. Talking about the tape and like the templates for designs. Have you seen how Dan sets up when he does his big Marvel comics and all his characters?
I have. It's amazing. I've also seen. I can't believe how he prints out those huge things to cut out, and I'm just like, wow, man.
Dude, but like huge scale, and he layers it as if you were doing some sort of stenciling for like a poster or something, but like super detail, like the around the eyes, the curves, the muscle, you know, the shadow of the muscle, the whole
I
thing.
can't. I'm not that good with the X-Acto knife doing that, man. It's like the way he does it. He's just very fluid with, like, he's drawing with a pencil.
Well, going back to I'm sorry I diverted,
Oh,
but you
good.
gave us some good insights there. It's interesting too, the connection that you have with the scroll saw scribbler. Go back to the lathe. So going back to the lathe.
Okay.
Hit us with that.
Well, I've been turning recently. Got some new lathe. My lathe did come with some old Craftsman style. The high speed chisels. They're not really sharp. They weren't. I'm not real sure how to sharpen them. I've seen a couple videos. I've sharpened them a little bit. I don't have a grinder, so I don't want to do it that way. So I end up getting some newer ones. I got some carbide tip ones, and I really do like the way they do that. So I picked it up one day. First piece I did was just a piece of scrap wood, threw it on there, did basically just what is it, where it's just straight with a whole bunch of just curves and whatnot in it. And so like that, I was like, let me try something else. I think the next thing I did was a wand. So I did a Harry Potter wand, and I was like, okay, that's not that bad. I was like, it came out cool. And then took a picture of it, sent it to my cousin because I know she's a huge Harry Potter fan. And I was like, here, I'm going to send this to you because I ain't got nothing else to do. And I did another wand, and then I was like, well, how else can I do this? So I went ahead and did, I think the next thing I did was a goblet. Like, I actually had a piece of reclaimed cherry from a pallet. And I was like, you know what, let me see if I can do this, like, big old, almost like a 4x4, 3.5 by 3.5. It was all odd. Put it up there, started doing it, tried hollowing it out. I was like, that's cool. I was like, it didn't hold much, hold like 2 ounces. I was like, let me see if I could do like a smaller version of it. Put it up there, started doing it. I was like, I really like this. I was like,
Nice, dude.
it's working fine. So
we have a few questions. I want to stop you just a little. Oh, by the way, before I stop you in the questions, do you use the carbide?
yes, I do. I have the Easy Tool carbides. I have the mediums. So I've got all 3 of them. I've got the rougher, the finisher, and the detail.
Yeah.
Don't really use the detailer much, but I did get to the point where the other day I was like, you know what? I put down the carbide and picked up one of my other gouges and just went back to it. It's different. I feel like I can go back and forth. I really need to sharpen my my stainless steel ones or my high speed ones.
Okay.
And once I do that, I think I really like it because I do like the way it feels. Like there's a different, like it really holds, the carbide tip ones hold a lot different than the high stainless steel ones, high speed steel ones. And I never realized that you would have that difference in it, but like just the feel of the tool itself in your hand feels different. And then whenever you're going with it, it also feels different too. So I kind of do like the fluidness of the high speed steel ones versus the carbide, but I really like how the carbide's cut. So
interesting. Yeah, there's a I've heard, like, because I hang out with, like, I'm not a lathe guy, but, and I hate to keep, there's questions there, but I just want to say because like woodworkers are very particular, right, about certain things, and I've heard like a debate about that, and I hear it a lot, you know, and like people get offended and stuff, like really personal, you know, with carbide versus listen to JP. Like,
I mean, I use nothing but carbides at the moment. I do want to try traditional tools, but if I was to go into a wood turning group, I'm not going to mention any particular names, and just to say carbides are the best, that's opened up floodgates. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, it's kind of like, it's one of those debates that's the same thing as, like, you know, cutting hand cut dovetails versus using a dovetail jig, or, you know, a CNC machine versus, you know, using power tools versus hand tools. I mean, you're always going to get one of those. And I'm one of those more fluid people, you know. I'm not going to sit there and criticize somebody, oh, you know, you have a CNC, you're not doing anything. Well, no, I know what a CNC takes. I know it takes hours of programming and you still mess up. I don't have any issues with that. I mean, I like they still got their own kind of mindset. They can still knock out things and come up with things. Um, and then you have the guys who do all the hand tools. They're like, oh, that's not real woodworking. I'm like, oh, it is. I mean, it's still real wood. I mean, they're
Yeah, dude, you keep dragging me back, but like it's like with the people that are very like the primitive, or I don't know, like the originalists. I don't know what you'd call.
the
If
OGs.
you really think about it, you will end up in a cave in a loincloth,
Yeah.
grabbing a branch and breaking it with rocks, and then you can truly say, okay, this is officially a woodworker, pure as like the waters from a stream. You
I want
know?
to see you do that, Eloy. I want one of your videos to do that.
No. I think Steven Twidell, I don't know if he's out there. He's going to do a video in nature doing some, and he's got to go back to nature and do it like that. Loincloth, Twidell, out in the middle of Ireland somewhere on the coast, loincloth, and like rubbing rocks together. And
You know what?
every now and then look up to the sky and go, ooh, ah, ah, ah. Okay.
Well, Cole Jacobson turns in his lederhosen.
Yeah, he has.
So yeah, you got a message in the inside chat there, Eloy.
Okay. Thank you, Caged Creations, and also I appreciate so much kindly. He also has a new channel which is Caged Art. Is it
Yeah,
Caged
he has a
Art?
new one.
Yeah.
By the way, speaking of Cage and I have known each other for a couple years as well. He actually tried to get, I believe, if I remember correctly, he actually tried to get me into the I Like to Make Stuff group originally. And I guess it didn't come in until Wes brought me in. So I appreciate that. But I've known Cage for a while. He actually doesn't live far from me.
Oh,
We
that's
live
so
like
cool,
an
dude.
hour away, and we have yet to meet up. And it's like anytime that happens, we want to meet up, and then we're like, one of us can't do it, and it sucks. Like I text him, we text each other every now and then, and he has a small shop just like me. I think his shop is actually, I can't remember if his shop is smaller than mine or not. My current shop. So he's a good dude, though.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Caged. When JP, I know there's questions when you get a chance.
Yeah.
If you get
I'm going to quickly run through the people over in the chat room. So
Yeah.
we've got the wonderful Mr. and Mrs. Jacobson over in the chat. We've got Sticks by Mark Beauchamp. I hope I've just said your name right. So if I haven't, I apologise.
Yep.
Mr. Jim Bashirs, Dan the Maker Man, Be Happy Woodworking and Honeybees, Al Forte, Katie Dotson, Charles Deering, OJ, Steve Nealon, Crosscut Creations, Sterling Davis.
Better watch what I say about scroll sawing, huh?
Yeah. Jake Thompson, Slap Stuff Together. Katie Dotson, did I say that one? I think I have.
I think you did.
Yeah. Mark Lindsay, Doc Hildebrand. I'm scrolling right up now, so yeah, right, let's go back down. Right, here we go. Let's get to some questions.
All right.
Rightio. Let's go with Sterling's questions first, since you're afraid of him. Right, the first one, he says, if I send you some Pegasus scroll saw blades, would you try them? He goes, I was an Olsen user until I tried Pegasus. I
just recently saw that he switched over. Yeah, I mean, I would definitely try them. I mean, I'm not opposed to it.
Yeah, I've used Pegasus blades and they are incredible.
Are they?
They're definitely the best blades I've ever used.
Yeah, I would definitely use them. I actually have a couple things I want to do. It's not quite the style I do. It's going back to painted versions of a scroll saw thing. But yeah, I definitely use them. Definitely use them on a couple of things.
I'd recommend watching a video Charles Deering just brought out. Actually, he done a side-by-side comparison of the Pegasus blades and the Flying Dutchman blades.
Okay. Well, I will always say that anybody who ever asks me about doing scroll saw work, I tell them, I was like, the first thing is throw away any blades that you just got with it, that came with it, throw those away. I was like, go out, spend the money, either get Flying Dutchman or Olsen. I was like, either one.
Well, Pegasus made Flying Dutchman look like the blade that come with a saw.
Now I have to recommend that then, if I try it. But yeah, I tell them that. I was like, that's honestly, they're not much more expensive, but they're a lot better quality, and you'll be happier with it. So
yeah.
But yes, I will.
The other question Sterling had was, What is you go to? What is your go-to tool, and where do you want to be within the maker community?
My go-to tool. Honestly, I don't even really know. There's really no tool that I just go out and grab. Well, honestly, a square, combination square. I mean, I use that all the time for everything, whether it's to find a distance, find a resaw that I need to do, or to make straight cut or straight lines. Honestly, it's a big tool, but it's not, I guess. I mean, that would be my go-to, but yeah, I'm scatterbrained when it comes to tools. I try to do anything and everything. I love doing hand tool work, love working on this, electrical saws and stuff like that. Where I see myself coming up in the maker community is definitely branching out. I've talked to Shogun Jimmy a while ago. He knows, and I don't know if Dan knows, but I really kind of want to start to get into a little bit of metal work. Not going out there and hand forging. I wouldn't mind making some knives, or doing some stuff with metal. My family actually comes from, I guess, metalworking. My grandfather was a machinist and welder and stuff like that. Owned his own company when he came over from Mexico, and was called Martinez and Sons. They did welding and fabrication. So my father knew how to weld. All my uncles knew how to weld. I've welded two things in my life, and I guarantee you they are not still together right now. So, but I do want to learn more welding, and just I want to do more metal work. I would like to do more metal work and to branch out and to basically say, would you be able to do this? And be like, yeah, sure, I can do that. It's basically where I want to be. One stop shop almost, kind of, I guess.
Okay. Mark Lindsay had a question. He says, what is the difference between Julian Martinez II and Julian Martinez Jr.?
There's a big difference. My birth certificate, my social security card all say the second. My parents did that for a reason, because growing up in Texas, they'd call me Junior. So I'm like, hey, Junior, come here. So my parents were very adamant that they did not want me to be a junior. They wanted me to be the second. I like it because it kind of stands out, but I can also see where it can be pretentious.
Yeah.
And I think that's another reason why I won't ever, when we have a kid, I don't ever want my kid to be named Julian as well. Because I don't want him walking around like, I'm Julian Martinez the third.
Dude, I'm Eloy Escajero the third, incidentally. I'm Eloy Escajero the third.
The third. Yeah, what is the third? Is that Esquire? Or no, Esquire's. Yeah, Esquire. Wouldn't it be?
I don't know. It's just that's how it's always been. I don't know. I've never looked into it, but that's a fact.
Yeah, that's awesome. I didn't know that about you, Eloy.
No, I didn't.
Oh, you didn't know that?
No, I knew.
Yeah.
I knew that was your. I knew that it was your father's name.
Yeah, and my grandfather's name.
I didn't know that though.
Well, when it comes to my father, the reason why I put the second is because he always, even to this day, he'll come around and he'll be like, "Yeah, I'm Julian, and that's my son, Julian. I'm the real Julian, though." And blah blah blah. I'm like, well, no. I was like, you're faulty. That's the reason why you had to make the second one. I was like, because the first one, it's not all there. It's like, I get on him about that.
Okay. We've got one from Doc Hildebrand.
All right, what's up, Doc?
He said, of all the people you follow on the tubes, whose shop would you like the most?
On the tubes, whose shop would I like the most? Not gonna lie, probably either Bobby or Dan, and it's just something about them, because it's not like I said before, it's not always about that big shop that has everything. I like being in a shop where they have multiple different things that they can do at one time. Like I said, Dan can go from painting something to scroll sawing something to a metal fabrication of some sort to making a knife. I was like, Bobby's got his whole thing where he can go from, again, scroll sawing to carving a pendant out of a rock to building this huge colored water fountain thing. It's like, I guess surrounding myself with a maker. It's more about the maker than it is the shop, I guess. But surrounding myself with somebody who can do more and who reaches out more.
Well,
So,
can I just add? Can I just, if I could you? But if it's about the, let's say, forget that it's the maker that you've seen their shop. I think that was more the. Although that's interesting that you say it's more about the maker for you. But if it was just coming down to shop, like you have, for instance, as an extreme, Jake Thompson with his massive bunker Hanger 19, just. Or something like Carmichael's, or heck, even Sterling Space, Jacobson Space, just.
all right, well, I got to go with the grandfather. I've got to go with Durista. Just
Right,
because, again,
his current or the underground.
either one. His current one was awesome because, I mean, it was still small, but he had so many different tools. Like, I can't wait to see the actual shop be completely set up and all that. His new one. Yeah, that's going to be. Geez, I think that's going to have to be like a mecca for makers. You're just going to have to go out there and pay homage.
Yeah, pretty savage, right?
Yeah.
Dan said you only said that because you want to go back to Texas.
Dan, that's between us. No, he knows. I do want to go back to Texas, but the
oh wait, let's get into that. Let's get into that question, or not that specifically, but a little bit. But that's after JP. If there's any other questions,
Trust a Brit to stir it.
That's
Is actually a question from Dan, but it's actually for Eloy. He says, "What's your middle name, Eloy?"
So they didn't give me a middle name on my birth certificate. It's Eloy Escajero III. But my mother's last name would be Gutierrez.
Gutierrez.
Yeah.
I know Gutierrez in high school.
There we go. That's it. That's all the questions for the time being.
All right. So give us a little bit. So we just heard a little thing there that you want to go to Texas and yet not. We don't have to get into like the specifics and that, but you were in Texas. You're from Texas.
Born and raised in Dallas. Yep.
Born and raised in Dallas. So you kind of, I mean, people from Texas are pretty darn like happy they're from Texas. And I have friends that have moved to Texas. He might be watching right now. He lives in Austin. His name is Natalino. Used to play bass with me and other guitar and stuff, write songs and stuff. And he's from Miami, but he was born in Chicago. But he's pretty darn happy that he's in Texas. They love Texas. So you love Texas?
Oh yeah, definitely.
But you're not.
I don't want to flash everybody, but I got a big old Texas tattoo right here. So.
And yet where are you now?
Oh, I'm in Baltimore, Maryland. So, AKA the new murder capital of the world, I guess, by USA Today recently. But yeah, so to go back a little bit further, start off, born and raised in Texas. Born in 1982, about to turn 36. Jesus, that's hard to say. Then in 1990, we moved to Virginia with my father. My family moved to Virginia because my father has always been into politics. Actually, my grandfather, the machinist, and was actually the first Hispanic mayor of a small town in Kansas called Hutchinson. So that's something to be proud of for there. But my dad was always into politics and stuff like that. So we moved to Virginia so he could pursue the political thing with that. And he's always been in it. So we were only supposed to be here for literally 4 years. And my mom reminds him all the time about that. Well, we were only supposed to be here for 4 years. Granted, neither one of them were from Texas. They're both one's from Kansas and one's from Illinois. But so we lived there, grew up there, spent time there, and then 2002 moved out of Virginia and moved to Maryland. Moved all over Maryland. Finally settled in the Baltimore area. Met my beautiful wife, and she's looking at me. So we ended up moving back to Texas because the airline that she was flying for closed their base here in Baltimore. And so they had a base in Dallas. So that was the next place. The funny thing is that I knew about the move before she did because she was on a trip and one of her friends told me about it. So by the time she had called me, I had already called my dad, started talking about jobs I could do, where I can live and all this. So I already had a game plan of things before she even got to me. So
no.
I did.
No.
If she wants to, if you want this, but let her. She's hearing our part of it as well. Yeah or no?
No, she's not. Hold on.
Nope. Jared put me on there.
Can you hear her?
Yeah. Okay. So
Yeah.
if she's willing, just for her to give us a brief what her take is on it. And by the way, in this show, it's well, I guess you've explained to her, so it will be recorded for forever, but it's all within love in a community of people that woodwork and create. So hit us with your version of the story.
He's full of crap. It was
No.
like
She's a ginger. You cannot accept what ginger say.
it was true. My airline did shut down my base in Baltimore. And so it was like they gave us an ultimatum: either you go to another base or you're done. So myself, along with everybody else in my base, ended up going down to Dallas.
All I heard is we're closing. Dallas is still open.
Shut up. So I did the commuting thing from Baltimore to Dallas for a little bit, but it was too hard. So I decided that I can't do it anymore, and I wanted to move. And I knew he wanted to go back down to Dallas, so I told him, "Hey, what do you think about moving to Dallas?" And he almost peed his pants when I said that.
Yep, I was excited.
Well, that's a great. That's night and day. Two different points. That's perfect.
No, because I didn't have everything set up. I was
No,
looking.
he didn't have anything set up.
I didn't have anything set up.
He didn't work for like 2 months while we were down there.
No, I didn't. No, I did.
No.
No, I didn't get paid. I was going to get paid.
Oh my god, that was perfect.
This is Angela, by the way. I won't show her on screen.
Yeah,
she doesn't want to be on screen, but y'all can say hi.
Well,
Mad Maker Show, everybody.
thank you so much for that. All right, so
Quit! You're embarrassing me.
You embarrass yourself.
Cut her off real quick. All right.
So well,
I take it she doesn't see what you post in the groups.
Well, he's back with the microphone, so let me we're gonna do a quick fire, rapid fire here because I've just got information in my ear. So every time I'm gonna ask you the question and then I'll explain. Favorite state?
Texas.
State where you come from?
Texas.
Where would you like to move back to?
Texas.
What tattoo do you have on you?
Texas.
Do I need to hear
drink 4 times for you guys that are doing the drinking game there in the chat because they were saying Texas is yeah.
Actually,
so we want to get them
empty right now, so I'll have to get one in a little bit. But Texas does have some great craft beer. First of all, let me tell you all this, and I'm sure your buddies will know.
By the way, you just said Texas again, so I'm counting that they're gonna drink up.
Do you know what? This game has been going on since the start of the show.
Okay. You want to know how you know if somebody's from Texas?
Well, yeah.
The hat.
Just wait 5 minutes, and they'll tell you that they're from Texas.
You said Texas twice, and I just said it a third time.
Texas.
So, yeah, we're gonna get these guys super drunk. Who was the one that said that, by the way? That's the drinking cue.
We've actually got another question at the moment.
All right.
From Dan the Maker Man.
Oh, Jesus, Dan.
He said, Julian has recently changed careers. How's it going for him?
Yes, I have. Actually, Doc, I think I've talked to Doc a little bit about it. It's not quite. I did like telecommunications and networking for 7 years. So I was a data guy. It was always hard to explain what I did because if I told them I did cabling, they were like, "Oh, so you can give me internet for free and all this for free, like HBO. No, I don't do that. Then they're like, oh, you do IT work. No, I don't do IT work. So basically, when somebody asked me what I did, then I was like, well, I give you the ability to play on Facebook at work. And then they're like, oh. But now I do control. I do building automations. So it's like an electrical specialist, I guess. I don't know. I'm still learning. It's 4 weeks in. I'm liking it because it's more hands-on, more mechanical. Learn to bend conduit and stuff like that. So I do like it. It's a different shade, but it works. I like working with my hands. So
Right on. Right on. Let me ask you this question. Lately,
Texas.
oh man, they can't drive home. Lately, maybe 2, 3, maybe last week, you posted a picture. I don't know if it was on Instagram or if it was in the group, but you said, hey guys, this is my new secret project I'm working on. And what you had was a table saw sled.
Oh, yes.
And I don't know if you want to talk. I thought it was cool. It's so simple yet awesome. And I think I know how it works, the idea that you came up with. But do you want to share that or
yeah,
no?
I can, because actually I've been editing. I shot the last bit of the footage a couple weeks ago, last week. The weather here has been off and on. It's been really cold. It's been a little rainy, so I've been tired, so I can't quite get out as much as I want. Sorry. So
not just ask me for another beer.
Please.
What's wrong with you? No.
Y'all didn't hear that. So it took me for a simple sled for that.
Another
granted,
beer is in Texas.
Huh? Texas? What? It's not as warm as Texas here, by the way. So it took me a lot longer to do this build than I wanted to, because when I was filming it, JP's laughing. But yeah, basically what it is, I originally called it a double cut cross cut sled, and the name sounded a little weird to me, so I asked some other people, and they came up with a better name, which I like. It's the double cut table saw sled. So basically what it is I can actually I take it from one miter slot to the other miter slot, and if I have it in a 1 miter slot, I can do a bevel cut on it, and then I just move it, literally put it over to the other table slot, and I have a straight cross cut. So therefore you are taking 2 types of sleds and putting it into one, I guess. I don't know. I'm pretty much sure I'm not the only one that's ever come up with that idea. I could not find another video on it. It's not to say that I wasn't looking in the right spots, but yeah, I just came up with that because
I like it.
Yeah, and it's simple. It's exactly probably what you're thinking about. You basically
flip it over.
No, well, I didn't flip it over. Basically, it's still going the same exact spot, because I did have that idea about completely rotating it.
Yeah.
But then I was like, let me see if this works out, because I took it. So if I put, it's only got one slot. It's only got one runner. That's kind of a downfall, but it's not. So it's got one runner. So if I put it in the right miter slot, it's set up to do the bevel cut.
Mm-hmm.
If I take it up and put it into the left slot,
gotcha,
it goes for the cross cut.
Gotcha.
And there's enough room in between them, since it's literally going all the way across the table.
Yeah.
That one's not going to impede on the other.
Mm-hmm.
So.
See, I was thinking.
Harvey said he made one of them 20 years ago.
Harvey did?
That's an inside joke.
I was about to say.
It's a Mad Maker Show inside joke.
We'll make it an outside. We'll make it an outside joke right now. I'm gonna tell you what the inside, but now soon to be outside joke is. But let me ask Julian one question before I do. Julian, what state is to the west of Louisiana?
I know this. Texas?
Thank you. Drink up. So the inside joke the inside joke is that the other day, last week, we were watching Instagram stuff, and Jimmy DeResta pops up on the feed, and he's making these chairs that you can stack, like the seating and the back. You could just remove them and stack them and take them away to tailgate, whatever, parties or whatever. He was testing out that CNC. Well, I had done the that chair, not on the CNC by hand, and I had video footage of it. Oh shit! Oh, I said,
Whoa,
and I
whoa,
put it up, and I put it up on, and I put it up on the Instagram. And then the inside joke is that I did that 20 years ago, because I think that's a joke that between Brett and the DeResta dude, and we just play around with that. I didn't say anything. I just said shh.
That's
So,
awesome.
yeah.
That's great though. I love those little inside jokes like that.
Well, the chairs that they're kind of like the Boy Scout type chairs.
Yeah, you're talking about the ones that lean back. That I guess kind of like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Any other questions out there, JP?
Is there one about Texas?
There was someone asked, what's the Lone Star State?
Texas.
Where was Buddy Holly born? What state?
Texas.
Lyle Lovett, that was married to Julia Roberts for a stint. He's actually from what state?
Texas. You're a blues guy, right?
Yeah, I dig the blues. Yeah.
Stevie Ray Vaughan. Where's he from?
Texas, Austin. or Jimmy Vaughn.
Yeah, Jimmy
His
Vaughn
brother.
too. By the way, I also grew up with listening to blues too. So grew up with a lot of blues and obviously country because I'm from Texas. But
the armadillo is the official state mammal to what state?
Texas.
Javi said, is actually a real question from Javi's Woodshop. He says, where's the Alamo? He forgets.
That would be in Texas.
Okay. Where's Bobby Duke from?
Fort Worth, Texas.
How about Charles Deering?
I'm assuming Texas.
Yeah. What about Jake Thompson?
Texas.
All right. That's enough. We get the point here, guys.
I'm sorry for whoever has to go to work tomorrow.
If the word Texas pops into your heads at some point, you'll know where that came from.
Just remember, my logo is Texas too.
Well, now let me ask you, where could people find you? Mostly, it seemed to me that you're very active on Instagram.
Yeah.
But well, go ahead, tell me.
I was gonna say, yeah, mostly Instagram. I don't have a Facebook account yet. I mean, I have my personal Facebook account. I mean, go ahead and hit me up on that. But mostly Instagram is where I usually go. It's a lot easier to take pictures of things that I'm doing. I mess around on that, but I do have a YouTube channel. There's not very much out there. I'm still kind of trying to find my way. Eloy, you are one of the guys that I love watching because you, like you said earlier, like what we talked earlier about is you don't just like to do just one thing. Like for a little while there, just a couple weeks ago, you were just doing nothing but like wall art, and I loved it because it was just working on the scroll saw, and then you just flipped gears and just went ahead and started doing the jewelry holder. You did the tea lamp not too long ago.
Yep.
So yeah, you do all types, and it's not even just doing just different types of working. It's your videos are different too. Like there are some where you go in and you tell stories. Like whenever you did that Punisher, I think that's one of my favorite videos. We did it was the Punisher that you did because you sat there and you started talking about, growing up doing, going to the comic books.
Yeah, no, I have a few comic book ones, but I haven't done one on. Although I love the Punisher. Was it the Punisher, or was it Shogun Jimmy that did a Punisher one?
Well, I thought you both did a Punisher, didn't you?
Oh,
Or maybe
dude.
it was a
No,
maybe it was
one of the comic book box.
Oh yeah, that's right. It was a comic book box.
Was it the box? Was it lately? Because whatever, I enjoy comic book stuff. Yeah, because it reminds me. But I appreciate that, dude.
Yeah, and I love that. And like I love the fact that you know some of your stories go into talking about your past and about how you grew up and how that's what you did. Like I had a hard time reading growing up, so every now and then I would read comic books. I loved them. I worked at a comic book store whenever I was 16, I think, for about a year.
Oh, that's awesome, dude.
Yeah, I wasn't like all into it then, but you know, I always loved comics. And what's funny is that I'm a DC fan, obviously.
Okay.
I love DC. Not a huge. I don't know what she just said.
Marvel.
She said
Marvel.
Marvel. You heard that, Jamie? No.
Yeah, we all heard that.
Connor, you got to go over there, buddy. So Punisher is one of the ones. Oh, Punisher is one of the few ones that I remember outside of Batman growing up, and there was something about
grow up.
Huh?
I'll just say grow up.
No. I took a pledge. I pledged to be a Toys R Us kid. And I take that serious. So the Punisher, there was something about the Punisher I always liked, and I don't know what it was. I think it was like just because it was the same darkness of Batman. So, like the Punisher is one of the few Marvel characters I actually really like. Everything else is Batman and Joker. So, which if Dan's still out there, sorry, if Dan's still out there, dude, that painting is so awesome, man. I love it, and you have no idea how excited I was when I opened that up.
Oh, dude, that was so awesome. He sent me, Dan the Maker Man sent me the Lord of the Rings Elven letter opener.
Yeah, I saw it. It's so awesome.
You saw it? Yeah, let me see if I can.
Because you did the unboxing of it.
Chad from Mancrafting says that your wife doesn't realise that she's living with a huge celebrity.
Hold on 1 second. Can you go ahead and repeat that? It took you off.
I said Chad from Mancrafting says that your wife doesn't realise she's living with a huge celebrity.
Yeah, you're living with a huge celebrity.
Yeah. Please don't make his ego any bigger than what it is.
I don't have a big ego.
So,
ego, is that what you call it?
Connect your speaker because it's echoing.
Yep. Next speaker. So, Chad, that's awesome. Thank you. Yeah.
Whatever.
Well, she doesn't realize that I know a lot of awesome people, and that's the reason for it.
You never really met them.
I met Chad.
Well, here's Dan's blade, if you see that, and I was so stoked, and still am. Look at that. Look at that.
I remember seeing your unboxing on it. You were ecstatic about it, and I told him I was like
Tripping.
I didn't get video of it because I was so out of it, but it was the first gift I opened up that morning for Christmas. And what was the funny thing is that I got it, it was all gift wrap. It said, I almost opened it up and I looked at the back, it said, don't open until Christmas. I was like, dang it. It's like, I really want to know what it is. So I messaged him. I was like, dude, I just got this so awesome. He goes, go ahead and open it up. I was like, no, it said, yeah, Dan the Maker Man right there.
I've got that off of Dan, made from a nail.
That's so awesome. See, I want to be able to do, he is one of my inspirations, and that's not, I could fangirl over him, and it's funny. Because I think the first video I ever saw of his, one of the first videos I think I ever saw of Dan was him doing that Joker stencil.
Can we interview his wife next?
What?
They want to know if they can interview you next.
I don't look good for camera. I'll answer the questions from here, though.
Did y'all hear that?
Yes, we did.
Jamie's laughing.
So, well, let me ask you this then. Did you enjoy it?
Did I enjoy
the show?
Yes.
Awesome. There's one more quick question I want to know. Are you going to Atlanta?
We were talking about today. I'm really trying to. I want to. My wife's a flight attendant for Southwest, so we're trying to get me down there, but it's not necessarily getting down there that's the hard part. It's getting back home. But I do want to go to Atlanta. I've been planning on it, so we've got to work a few things out first.
All
so,
right.
yeah, definitely want to go.
So will you come back and see us?
You have me on, I'll be here. I mean, if you want her, maybe I can put a muzzle on her. I don't know.
Excuse you.
Again, for those who don't know, my wife is a
He really
beautiful.
wants to sleep outside on the street.
Well, it is warm out there, so it's a little better. My wife is a beautiful Italian Irish ginger from Baltimore. So
Nice.
yeah, I have to be very careful what I say.
Well, that's that. Tell her thank you for chiming in a little bit and giving us the opposing story, which we appreciate kindly.
They said thank you. You know what?
Why don't you just unplug it and let me?
No, because they got reverb.
asked.
They said thank you for the chiming in and for giving us the day and night versions of things. So
He's like a girl. He over exaggerates.
not a girl.
Well. So, are there any shout outs you'd like to hit us with, and where do you want folks to go check you out, look for your work?
By all means, just go to Instagram. Like I said, that is where I am most active. Again, I say this every year. I am trying to do more on my YouTube, so hopefully I'll be coming out with more. I've got to get a little looser on what I want to do with it. Obviously, editing is huge for me, but definitely if you find me on Instagram, you'll always be up to date with what I'm doing. I've recently started doing more stories, and my stories are more of my, I guess, behind the scenes. Like I'll talk to you just what I'm doing outside, like not even if I'm working, like if I'm physically at work or if I'm going somewhere else or if I have a question that I want to ask people. It's just it's me versus 5x30, I guess.
Very cool, dude. Well, we appreciate it. All the links are down in the description below where they can find you, be it YouTube, Instagram, and I believe Facebook as well. If there's anything missing, just let us know, and we'll add it to it, as well as JP's info for you folks that don't know JP, which I don't know if that's possible.
I do not know JP.
So, JP?
There was one thing that I forgot to mention at the start. Oh, excuse me. Bit of air coming up through my throat. Or a burp. Either way, it would have been easier to say. One thing I forgot to say at the start of the show, Patrick's from Patrick's Workshop just got to 20,000 subscribers. So well done,
right.
Patrick.
Awesome, Patrick. Good job, man.
Another thing I wanted to mention that it was all of my shirts that I printed. It seems a lot of people have started receiving them, so you should start seeing them pop up now. So we just wanted to publicly thank everybody for purchasing them.
That's awesome. I think Chad from Mancrafting actually posted a story on Instagram about it. He was like, "What did I order from France?" And then he looked at it, he goes,
Right.
and he showed it. He goes, "Well, yeah, I guess they probably don't print this off in England." So
Yeah,
that's awesome.
So I'll have to check that out. Actually, I know he did mention that he did get it. So, but I didn't realise he had done a story on it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, that's it.
All right. Well, anything else, JP?
No, that's it. I've done all my social media at the start.
Okay, so next week we're gonna have James King from King's Fine Woodworking here on the show. Lots of cool things that we're gonna ask and find out. The week after that, we're working on it. We have a few ideas, so we'll see. I want to thank Julian for coming on, dude. It was such a pleasure. Thank you so much for opening up, and letting us, into all those aspects of your life and your thoughts. And we hope that.
Not a problem. I feel like we kind of like got ADD about things and kept jumping back and forth, but I mean that's how I am.
Yes. Well, that's exactly the idea of the show. We want to go all over the place and sort of get like that. Yeah, exactly. It was perfect, dude. I'll tell you what.
It was a good. It's a good show. I like it, and I'm really glad you keep doing it, man. Keep it up, both of you guys.
Awesome, dude. Well, for you guys out there, what's that?
I just said great stuff.
Heck yeah, dude. For you guys out there, thank you so much for hanging out with us. So that's next week. Have a great week this week, and we'll see you soon. Peace out.
Take it easy.
Put your boots on, make stuff.